Yeah. Now, as a part of this option pricing models, our focus primarily is on this aspect. Our focus primarily is on this aspect. Is this number an overpriced number or an underpriced number as per our calculation? Right? Is it overpriced or is it underpriced? Or is it correctly priced? That is what is generally given by the pricing model. There are two major pricing models which we use. One is a Black-Scholes and one is a binomial tree based pricing. Binomial tree based actually is a more robust mechanism, and it can be used for almost all kinds of securities. Whereas the Black-Scholes has a lot of limitation. It's a pure formula driven. When I say limitation, what they have done is they have simplified the whole structure. Binomial is more elaborate, and in the Black-Scholes the entire thing got simplified by making a few assumptions on the binomial data. So they also started with the binomial tree model in their research, but by making a few assumptions, mathematically the formula became very simplified. So they have given one single formula to which will talk about the price of the option. Now, because of that, it also gives scope for a lot of limitations, because only under these assumptions this formula will work. So for stock market related data, there is no issue. Stock prices, you can very well use the Black-Scholes model. But wherever the values are mean reverting, when I say mean reverting, the value increases, falls, it rotates around one single number itself. Let's say when we talk about the stock price, generally in the long term, it's only an uppish movement. You don't see that it rotates around a particular number. Whereas when we talk about interest rates, it generally rotates around a particular number. Today it may be high, tomorrow they will come down, they'll go even down, and again they will come back to a number. So, but it's not that probably after 20 years I will not have interest rates at 80%. If they are at 15% today, tomorrow they have to come down to 10 and 7 and 8, and again they have to go up, again they have to come down. It's cyclical. For whatever the data is more cyclical in nature or waveform in nature, this Black-Scholes method is not applicable. So for modeling interest rates are typically bonds. Bonds are heavily dependent on interest rates. So for doing the modeling on the bonds, the Black-Scholes formula is of not much use. Whereas the binomial model is more and more robust. I can use it for almost every kind of a security, but it is slightly complex to use. Whereas when it comes to Black-Scholes, because it's a simple formula driven model, it's very easy to use, because once you, at least if you are working on spreadsheets, you don't need to even remember the formula. Probably you put the formula somewhere, based on that you do the inputs of the data, and based on that you compute the value in the Excel sheet. That itself will be sufficient, right? So let me look at that Black-Scholes here. There are few inputs that this Black-Scholes will typically require. One is the current stock price, which we have seen in case of Infosys. Whatever is the stock price, we'll actually download one full year data of Infosys and we'll work on that. One is the stock price that it requires. One, it requires a strike price, which we have been using for some time. Then it requires rate of interest, or typically we call it as risk-free rate of interest. then it also requires standard deviation of the security, and one more thing which it requires is the time to maturity. These are the 5 parameters. If they are there, after that it's just a formula. But of course, it's a very long formula. Right? Let me write down the formula here. They have initially computed 2 values called D1 and D2. The formula they have given for D1 and D2, okay, the notations for this: stock price, I'll denote it with S. Strike price, I'll denote it with some X. The risk-free rate of return, I'll denote it with R. Then standard deviation, I'll denote it with sigma. Let me just insert one symbol called sigma. I don't have them. Alright, let me write it as sigma. The standard deviation, I'll denote it with sigma, and time to maturity, let's say I'll take it with T. Now what they have given as a formula for this D1 and D2 is, D1 is the log S divided by X plus R plus 0.5 times the sigma squared into T yeah 0.5 into sigma squared into T, the entire thing divided by sigma into square root of T. This is what they have given as a formula for D1. And for D2, they simply said D1 minus sigma into square root of T. This is what they have given for D2. So once I have these 5 numbers, I just need to put those 5 numbers into the formula. That's it. Right? So this formula is a fixed formula. Only the 5 inputs I have to take care of. So there are some assumptions relating to the 5 inputs also. Right? I'll show you those assumptions. Then they simply said, on this D1 and D2, compute the normal distribution equivalents of them. So the typical normal distribution would be kind of a bell curve. This is the way the typical normal distribution lies. Now in this case, the center typically, if I assume it to be 0, which is the mean, this side is positive, this side is negative. So if let's say the D1 value is, let's say 0.5 or something, which will be on this side. So when I say the normal distribution value corresponding to this D1, it is nothing but the area under the curve like this up to here. The area under the curve is always 100%, one unit. Now, which means from there to here, it is 1 or 100%. Now, from there to here, probably it could be 60% or something, because middle is 50%, slightly above 50%, some 60%, let's say. That is what is the normal distribution value corresponding to D1, which means there is a 60% probability of execution of that. So that's where what they are saying here is, we assume that the returns are more following like a normal distribution. This is the one major assumption in a Black-Scholes formula. They have assumed, we'll check whether it is a good assumption or not tomorrow, but they have assumed that the returns will follow a normal distribution. The returns we have calculated, this price minus this price, today's price minus yesterday's price. What they have said is, the returns typically follow a normal distribution, which means when I try to plot a graph for them, they have assumed that the graph will come like this. We will also try really taking a data, we'll try plotting a graph. It should come only if it comes like this, only then the Black-Scholes will work. So we are right now assuming that the graph will follow this kind of a distribution. So then what they said is, because it will follow a normal distribution, I will take the area under the curve corresponding to D1 and D2. That's one more formula which they have added. So here they said n of D1, which is nothing but the normal distribution of D1. Similarly, they have taken n of D2. These two things they have taken. Now that is from there, they have come up at the call premium. Again another formula. So this is a thorough research that has gone, and based on the research, all we are presented is just few formulas. Of course, derivation is there, but once we know the simple formulas, I can very well find out whether the particular call option is overpriced or underpriced. Similarly for a put option. So for this, what they have said is S into n of D1 minus x into e to the power of, or x divided by e to the power of r into t into n of D2. So once I put this number, they said you will get the call premium. And they have added a concept for put premium, which will come out as the call premium minus stock price plus x by e power r into t. So based on this, they said you will get your call premium as well as your put premium. So this is the whole Black-Scholes formula. Now what we can do is, we will try to fill in these 5 numbers, right? We'll have to fill in these 5 numbers, and based on these 5, we'll have to write the formulas. I mean, whatever is the text, we have to write it with an equal to sign, this entire stuff. So that will directly compute our call option price and a put option price. So first let's finish off one by one here. The D1, I'll use the same formula, equal to, just start with an equal to, log, ln is the log. Whatever the formula I have written on the top, just try to replicate it as it is. Equal to log. When I say S, I'll point to the place where S is there. This is S. I'll point to the place where S is there. So this is S. divided by x. This is the point where x is there. Okay, so log s by x plus r. This is r plus 0.5 times sigma square. This is sigma. Sigma square into t. Into t is this one. This entire thing I will divide by sigma. This is sigma into square root of t. Just try this exactly. Yeah. So you are able to replicate the formula. Right. The stock price, I'll take whatever is the last prevailing stock price. That's the current stock price. Either I can go to, see, if I look at here, it is showing that the stock price is 2475. Right. Or I can visit some sites. Let's say you go to the live market equity stock. Right. In the live market, in the equity stock, you can very well check out. I think something is not working. All right, that's very slow now. But here, whatever the price that comes, that is the latest stock price. So 2475 is what I enter in the stock price segment. Strike price is any one of these prices, whichever I would like to evaluate. I can take any of these prices, because corresponding to that I would like to see whether it is overpriced or underpriced. Right? So I'll take any one number. Let's say I am taking 2600. Now, the next thing is rate of interest. I need to take a rate of interest which is risk free. So to obtain that, the better way is get it from the RBI site, rbi.org.in. They actually publish a 1-year treasury bill rates. Treasury bills are more like government securities which are almost risk free. So when I come into the RBI site, let's say under this government securities market, there is a 364-day treasury bill, which is like a 1-year kind of stuff, which is giving an interest rate of 7.8265%. So I will use this number 7.8265% as a part of my this. Now, probably depending on the day on which you are doing this analysis, you have to change that number, because this number keeps changing quite frequently. Every week you check this number, there will be a difference depending on whether the interest rates are going up or going down. You will see that this number changes. So once this number, you have to update it, and based on that your calculation also will get updated. Then the time to maturity. Right? So probably you have to take the maturity date so that you can find out the time to maturity. So I will say, what is the maturity date? 28th June is the maturity date for this option. So I will say 28th June 2012. This option is maturing on 28th June 2012. So time to maturity is more of the difference between the today's date and the date of the expiry. So I'll simply say equal to expiry date or the maturity date minus today's date. Instead of typing in today's date, I will use a formula called today, because that will dynamically update. Tomorrow when I have to see this, it will take tomorrow's date. Right? So I'll say this minus just a today open bracket and a close bracket. So the time to maturity from today, it is the maturity date minus today. I could have typed the today's date directly, but if I type it, it will be a fixed. There is no variability in that. Even when I go to 28th of June, it will still say 6 more days to maturity. Just a open bracket and a close bracket. And then one more bracket because I have opened 2 brackets. Enter. So it is saying 5 days to maturity. But I don't want it in terms of days. I will have to convert it into years. So what I will do is to whatever the number I got, I will divide it by 365. This number, I will divide it by 365 to get the number of years. So I should get 0.0136 kind of number. This is my time to maturity in terms of years, because everything should be in terms of years. This rate is yearly rate. The time to maturity should be in years. Though it says 5 days, I have converted the 5 days into years by dividing that by 365. Now what happens is, when I move to tomorrow, it will directly take it as 4 days. So 4 by 365 is what it will take. So automatically the formula, everything will get updated. So what should be the price at which I need to buy or sell tomorrow is something that it would update directly. That way I can very well plan my move in terms of buying and selling of the securities. Then the only thing that is left for us is this sigma. Sigma is the standard deviation. And what it says is, the standard deviation, it wants in the percentage terms, not in the rupee terms. So just going back to our original calculation where we have done the standard deviation in the morning, I'll have to make small editing here. The stock returns, we have simply found it here as the rupee returns. I mean today's price minus yesterday's price. Right? P2 minus P1 is what we have taken as return. But this requires a percentage return, not a rupee return. It requires percentage return. So what I will do in this case, I'll add one more field called percentage return, where the same today's price minus yesterday's price. So here this price minus this price. Until here we have done the same in the earlier case also. But this has to be divided by the yesterday's price. That is what is the percentage return. Instead of just doing a subtraction, I am dividing it by the yesterday's price, which will give me the percentage return. This I drag it down. This is what is the percentage return. Now what it says is, if I want to find out the standard deviation, I need to take the standard deviation not on the rupee values, but on the percentage values. So these are my percentage values. So I should not take the standard deviation on this column. I should take the standard deviation on this column. So let me take one more standard deviation here. Standard deviation, I'll say percentage return. I'll call it as, again, STDEVP equal to STDEVP, which is nothing but the standard deviation of this Q column. So I'll get some number which is whatever 0.021 is the number. That is the standard deviation in percentage terms. That is for a quarter. That's the standard deviation for a quarter. Or this is the standard deviation for a day, because we have taken it as a daily values. This is the standard deviation for a day. Now I have to find it for a year. right? For a day it is 0.02. Now I want to find it for a year. If I want to find it for a year, annual standard deviation, I'll simply take the daily standard deviation into, I'll not multiply it with the number of days, I'll multiply with the square root of number of days. Because per variance I'll multiply with the number of days, whereas standard deviation is the square root. So I'll multiply with the square root of, I'll not take 365, I'll take only the trading days. Approximately 250 will be the trading days, because no Saturday, Sunday is a trading day. So approximately this number can come, some holidays and all. So approximately this number is around 250 in India, sometimes slightly more, sometimes slightly less, but it would be somewhere around 250. So if I take this number of 250, this is what is the annual standard deviation, which means 34% is the annual standard deviation of Infosys. Right? Now, this same number I will have to put here in the standard deviation column. What I'll do for that, I'll say simple equal to, instead of typing that value, I will say simple equal to, go to that location and just get this number. Equal to and point to this number. So here also the same number will get updated. So here it is, we have all the 5 values now. So it's just a matter of putting into the formula. Now you can check out for your D1. It should give you minus 1.19. Applying that same formula, log S by X and all. Plus R plus 0.5 sigma squared by 2 into T divided by sigma into root T. Yeah. Now the same way you can do for your D2 also, which is nothing but now it is D1 minus that simple smaller calculation equal to D1, whatever you got as the output here, minus sigma, which is this number 0.34, point to that cell, into square root of T. So you should get around minus 1.23. That is what is D1 and D2. D1 and D2. Now when I say the normal distribution value corresponding to that, I'll use a formula called norms distribution. There is one. The norm S distribution, which is nothing but standard normal distribution. S stands for standard. Norm S dist. That is the formula, which is nothing but your standard normal distribution, whose area will be equal to 1. So when I take that, only input it asks for is Z, which is nothing but your D1. When I say whatever is inside, so when I say norms dist of the D1 value, I should get around 0.11. That is my N of D1. Same thing you can do with N of D2. Norms dist of the D2 value. This one. Norms. N-O-R-M-S. Both of them. Norms dist. In the input you just click D1. The D1 value. Minus 1.19. So you should get 0.11 there. Norms dist yeah, because here you have rounded off the number, right? Here you have directly entered 34%. Probably 0.0037% is also there. So that small things good. So that you don't need to bother too much. So these are your N1 and N2, ND1 and ND2. Now based on this, I can find out what according to me should be the price of this call option. Right? What according to me should be the price of the call option or the premium for this call option, I can put into this formula now. So I will say equal to S, this is S, into ND1. ND1 we have already got. This is ND1 minus X. X is this one, divided by e power RT. E power is, any e power in Excel goes with exp as a formula. So exp, this is e power R into T. This is R into T. E power RT, same formula, into ND2. Into ND2. This is what is the number. So this is saying that the call option premium in this case should be only 5.53 rupees. As per my evaluation, the 2600 strike price call option should have a price equal to 5.53 rupees in the market. If it is more than that 5.53 rupees, 5 rupees 53 paisa, I will get into the selling. Otherwise, I will get into the buying. Yeah, just calculate that. See, as per our evaluation, we got that the call option premium should be 5.53. Now I will check it with the market. What is the market price? For 2600 call, it is 1.65 only. Which means my evaluation price is higher than the market price. So it is available cheaper in the market. So better I buy that. If it is available for costly in the market, I will get into a selling of that. So because my calculation, now probably try changing it for some other value. Let's say you try to change the strike price just to 2400 instead of 2600. You change it to 2400. It says that your call option premium should be 89.22. And in the market, the 2400, now you see, yeah, the 2400 one, in the market it is available at 77.6. But your evaluation is saying it is worth going up to 89.22 for it. So in the market it is cheaper than your evaluation. So better we buy it. Now the same way, let's look at the put. The put premium using the next formula. Call premium equal to, the call premium is this one, minus S. S is this one, plus X by e power RT. This is X divided by e power R into T. So this is directly telling me that the put premium for this should be 11.64. The put option should be 11.64 for this strike price. Now try to just quickly check it out with your prices. 2400, the put option, in the market it is at 6.1. In the market it is at 6.1, whereas you are saying you can pay up to 14 for it. So even this is underpriced. So probably you can very well go for a buying of the call option as well as the put option on this security. Both of them are cheaper than your evaluations. In some cases, what you will find is they are much costlier than your evaluations. In that case, you will enter as a seller. If they are much cheaper than your evaluation, you will enter as a buyer. And every day, tomorrow, let's say, the stock price changes. During the day, we are just looking at it. Right? We are somewhere during the day. Somewhere in the middle, the price has changed to, let's say, 2500. So immediately what I'll do is I'll change this number to 2500. Immediately it will tell me what should be the premium for a call option. Based on that, I will see whether the market price is lesser or more. If the market price is lesser, I will go for a buy. If the market price is more, I will go for a sell. Yes. So here you see it's a very good number. It's matching with that number almost 127. Your calculation is 127 and the market is also 127 approx. So, I mean, your analysis now, your analysis will more or less match. See, sometimes people will do this kind of analysis and then buy. Sometimes they go out of intuition. Right? So, wherever there is a good match, that's something where you can take it as, okay, there's a lot of, there's a decent buying and selling process that is happening on it. And my market price is reflecting my analysis price. Right? In case of call, it is not, it is slightly away. But whereas in case of put for this number, it is matching very much. In some cases, it would be underpriced. In some cases, it would be overpriced. So depending on where it is under and where it is over, we'll get into a buy and sell transaction accordingly. Where the market price is less than our calculated price, we'll go for a buy. Where the market is more than our calculated, we'll go for a sell. So that way, once we have this template or a framework in place, all I need is just change these numbers. And if we see, this is automatically updated because we have, the moment I update the maturity date, as long as it is 28th June maturity, this number will be automatically updated. This number may not change for some time. This number also may not change that regularly. Every day, every minute, it will not change. Only number which will change regularly is the stock price. And if we want to look at something else, the strike price also. But otherwise, the other three will change, but not that regularly. So once by just changing these two things, I can very well see what would be my call option price and what would be my put option price. And based on that, I should take a decision on what is a good time to buy this and what is a good time to sell this. And what is a better price. This is a very important aspect because if I have to go for a call option for this criteria, it is simply saying you should not spend more than 5 rupees to buy that call option or 5 rupees 53 paisa to buy that call option. Right? Whereas for a put option of equal thing, you are ready to spend. You can spend up to 127 rupees 74 paisa based on the chance of execution. So that probability of execution is what is given by your ND1 and ND2 curves. So it is assuming that the returns follow a normal distribution. From there it is taking the probability of success versus failures. And based on that it is saying this is the price for a buy as well as for a sell. Right? Now the similar thing probably tomorrow we should evaluate using the binomial tree model also. Sometimes it will come much closer to this. Sometimes it would be much divergent from this also. So when I take both the models together and evaluate, there is always a better, it's like validating with the other model also before we confirm in terms of the buying and selling process. Right?